This is Lesson 3-3 from the Algebra Readiness textbook. Grab your notes packet and work on these study guide problems. Continue the video as soon as you have finished. All right, in this first problem, you need to do the inverse of multiplying by -4 and 8/10. So we will divide both sides by -4 and 8/10. And my answer is -1. The next problem. You need to do the inverse of m divided by 6/10. So we are going to multiply both sides by 6/10. A negative times a positive is a negative, so I know my answer is going to be negative. Then I'm going to do the problem over here, ignoring the decimal in both numbers and multiplying like normal. Then I decide where to place the decimal by seeing there is one digit after the decimal point in the first number and one digit after the decimal point in the second number for a total of 2 digits. So my answer is -66 Number 16. Again, I need to do the inverse of multiplying my variable. In this case, I need to divide by -3 7/10. I do the same thing to both sides of the equal sign. And then I need to do a little side problem. This time, determining that my answer should be positive because a -18 5/10 divided by a -3 7/10 leaves me with a positive number. So 18 5/10 divided by 3 7/10. I need to move the decimal one place over. 37 does not go into 0, or 1 does not go into 18. So how many times does it go into 185? Let's try 5 times. And I get 185. Perfect. It comes out evenly. And so my answer is a +5. The next problem. I have my variable m being divided by 4 3/10. So we need to go along and multiply because that's the inverse. Multiply by 4 3/10. I multiply as though the decimals are not there. Boy, I'm having to write all over here because it's getting so big. Then I just see that in the problem that there is two places in my original problem after the decimal point. And so I move my decimal point in 2 in my answer. And so my solution is m equals positive, because a positive times a positive is a positive number, 31 82/100. Okay. The next problem you worked on, there's one just like this on your quiz, so make sure you're ready for this one. You pay 2 cents per minute for long distance. Remember how we talked about writing 2 cents? We don't write it as the number 2. We write it as a decimal, 0.02. 2 cents per minute for long distance phone calls on your phone. Your phone bill is $2.77. Write and solve an equation to find the number of minutes of long distance calls that you made. So here's my equation. We need to divide both sides by 2 cents. So I'm going to do a side problem over here. I need to move the decimal all the way to the right in the divisor. That's 2 places. 2 goes into 2 one time. I subtract. Then I bring down the 7. 2 goes into 7 3 times. 3 times 2 is 6. I subtract. Then I bring down the next 7. 2 goes into 17. Did I do that? Yes, I did that right. So 8 times, bring down the 1. I need to add a 0 there because I ran out of numbers to bring down, but I'm not done yet. And it comes out even here. So 138.5 minutes. Okay, my next problem. Evaluate each expression by substituting x equals 3 and y equals 4 into the original problems. So I'm going to swap out every variable for these two numbers and then solve using the order of operations. So 2 times 3 plus 4. Using the order of operations, I will do the parentheses first. 2 times 7. 2 times 7 is 14. The next problem. Remember, a fraction bar, such as this, is a grouping symbol. So I need to simplify my numerator before I divide. In this case, I would actually add before I divide because that grouping symbol. 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 divided by 2 is 3 5/10. All right, let's move on to today's lesson. Today we are learning how to use substitution and decimal rules to solve problems that involve a formula. We use formulas all the time. What is a formula? Let's put this in our notes. A formula is an equation that shows a relationship between variables. We have formulas for calculating or converting temperature. We have formulas for finding the speed at which your car is driving. We have formulas for finding the area, volume, perimeter of shapes. We use formulas all the time. The first one we're going to talk about is the distance formula. The distance formula is D equals R times T. D stands for distance, R stands for your rate or your speed, and T equals your time spent traveling. Everybody make sure you get this written down, and then we're going to move forward. Let's practice using the distance formula. Whoops, let's try this again. Okay, so looking at this green bar, it says, if a bird is flying 17 miles in 3 hours, what was the bird's speed? Okay, so what's missing, you'll always be given, in the distance formula, you will always be given either two of the three. You'll be given either distance and rate, distance and time, rate and time, and you'll be asked to find which the other one of the three that's not given. So what information is given? Well, I know that the bird is flying 17 miles. That's the distance. I also know that the bird has traveled for 3 hours. So that's the time. I want to know the speed or the rate that it's traveling. So that's what we don't know. I'm going to plug in the numbers that I do know into the distance formula. So we're going to put 17 in here. The rate we don't know, and the time is 3 hours. Now let's refer back to this one where it's typed out really nicely and we have space. So I have to now use what I know about solving equations. How do I get the r by itself? Well, I divide both sides by 3. 17 divided by 3 gives me 5 and 6/100ths repeating, but we can simply round that. You don't need to keep going. And so 5 7/10 miles per hour. That's how fast the bird is traveling. In the first problem, we are asked to find, using the formula D equals R times T, find either D, R, or T, whichever piece of information is missing. In this case, I see that D and T are given. So I'll have a number here and a number here to plug in. The R is missing. So for D, equals R times T. For D, I write 273 equals R times 9 75/100. So I divide both sides by 9 75/100. And so I'm going to do a little side problem here. 273 divided by 9 75/100. I need to move the decimal point 2 places to the right. So I need to add zeros so I can move it under the fraction bar also. 975 goes into 2 0 times, 27 0 times, 273 0 times, 2,730, I would say 2 times. Oh, I should do this problem over here. 975 times 2. So 1950, let's subtract 0. I need to borrow. That's an 8. And then 6 minus 9 I can't do, so I need to borrow. 16 minus 9 is 5. Or how about not 5? Shall we say 7? Good grief. And then 780, I'm going to bring down the 0. Let's say 8 times. We're just going to guess here. 975 times 8. 56 plus 4 is 60. 72, that's 78. Comes out evenly. Perfect. So 28. And now what's the answer? That's my rate. So my R value is 28. And in this case, miles per hour. Because I took miles and divided it by hours, miles per hour. All right, I would like you to try by pausing the video and try the next problem in B. And notice that in B, you're given the distance and the rate. So you need to find the time in that problem. So go ahead, give it a try, and come on back. All right, hopefully you paused the video and tried this out. When I plug in the numbers, I get 540 75/100 equals 10 5/10 times t. To solve this problem, I divide both sides by 10 5/10. Then you're going to have to do a side problem where you divide it all out. 540 divided by 10 5/10, and you get t equals 51 5/10. And in this time, I look here at the label, and I can see the time label is years based on what it is for rate. The rate always has both the distance and the time. All right. Now, that's not the only formula we use. We also use formulas to convert between degrees Celsius and degrees Fahrenheit. So taking a look at these two temperatures, these two thermometers, you can see that water boils here at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, but at 100 degrees Celsius. And water freezes at 32 degrees Fahrenheit, but 0 degrees Celsius. Also, absolute zero on the Fahrenheit scale is at negative 459 degrees Fahrenheit, and absolute zero is negative 273 degrees Celsius on the Celsius scale. So we can convert that using this cute little formula. Use the formula to convert 18 degrees Celsius to degrees Fahrenheit, and then give your answer to the tenths place. So we will rewrite this formula. F equals 9/5 times 18 plus 32. Now you need to remember how to multiply fractions. So 18 over 1. And so now you simply multiply. 18 times 9. We're going to solve this first. 18 times 9. Do a little side problem. or perhaps you did 9 times 10 and 9 times 8 and added those together. And you get 162. 162 over 5 times 1 is 5. 162 divided by 5. Five goes into 12 2 times. Bring that 0 up. 32 and 4/10. So 32 and 4/10 plus 32 is 64 and 4/10, and then label it degrees Fahrenheit because that's what F equals, right? F is. On this one, I see that I've included 2 problems that are more of a Chapter 4 skill. So for right now, let's cross those out and hold off on those. They will not show up on an assessment for Chapter 3. All right, here's another one. You can estimate the temperature outside by using the chirps of a cricket. Use the formula F equals N divided by 4 plus 37, where N is the number of cricket chirps in 1 minute, and F is the temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Estimate the temperature when a cricket chirps 100 times in a minute. I am going to take this 100 times in a minute and know that that is the value for N. So I am going to substitute where N is. I'm going to substitute 100 and rewrite that equation. 100 divided by 4 plus 37. 100 divided by 4 is 25. 25 plus 37, if you need to stack that over here to do a side problem, go ahead and do that, is 62. That means that the pattern found means that it's 62 degrees Fahrenheit outside. You try in part A. Pause the video, substitute 88 into that equation, and tell me the temperature outside. Okay, you should have written 88 divided by 4 plus 37. When you solve that, you would have to divide first, and you get 22 plus 37. 22 plus 37 is 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Perimeter. Oops, I skipped one. Perimeter is another vocabulary word we need to write down in our notes. Perimeter is the distance around a figure. To find the perimeter, you add all of the sides or use the following formula. 2W plus 2L. For rectangles, there are 2 lengths that are the same and 2 widths that are the same. So taking 2 W's plus 2 times L gives me the distance all the way around the shape. Let's try. Using the formula, some people have a question about this right here. That is not an E, that is a cursive L. So that's 2 lengths. Use the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle and find the perimeter of the rectangle. I can see that my length is 18.5 and my width is 12.5. So I'm going to plug those 2 numbers in here for L and W. Then, using my order of operations, I know that I need to multiply before I can add. So 18.5 times 18.5, or I'm sorry, plus 18.5, or times 2, is 37. 12.5 plus 12.5, or 12.5 times 2, is 25. 37 plus 25 is 62. That means that the distance all the way around this shape is 62 feet. Here are two shapes, two rectangles. Using the perimeter formula, P equals 2 times L plus 2 times W. Substitute the numbers in and tell me the perimeter of each rectangle. Then when you're done, unpause the video and come on back and compare your answer with mine. All right. I've got a length, and now if you labeled it differently than what I did and you changed which one was the length and which one was the width, that doesn't matter. You'll get the same answer. 2 times 16 and 8/10 plus 2 times 27 and 3/10. So 2 times 16 and 8/10 is 33 and 6/10. And then 27 and 3/10 times 2 is 54 and 6/10. When I add those two together, I get, let's do a little side problem here. (88 and 2/10 centimeters is the distance all the way around that shape. Okay, the next rectangle. I will call this one the length and this one the width. Again, if you switched it, it doesn't matter. 2 times 8 and 6/10 plus 2 times 17 and 4/10. So 8 and 6/10 times 2 is 17 and 2/10. 17 and 4/10 times 2 is 34 and 8/10. When I add those two together, I get 52. I'm sure you had to show a little more work than I did. That's expected, but this is just to check your work. Okay, let's give it a try on the assignment, 5 through 25 odds. If you have any questions, please make sure to come on back.